Let's open with a provocative question. What if the story of Whitney Houston is far older than the pop charts? Imagine tracing her lineage back through millennia, landing amidst the golden sands of ancient Kemet, what we now call Egypt. Here, the archetype of the Divine One, embodied by Queen Ahmose Nefertari, stood at the center of seismic cultural shifts. The Hyksos, foreign invaders, wielded chaos, their reign echoing with the name of the god Set. Yet it was the Black Diva, both revered and hunted, who rallied her people and restored order. Think of paradigm shift, a term we use for tech revolutions applied to civilization itself. This ancient struggle between order and chaos, light and shadow, forms the canvas for a tale that will repeat centuries later in another arena. Now, you might be thinking, what does this have to do with Whitney Houston? The answer lies in the power of symbol. The Black Diva becomes a vessel, a living testament to the ways in which history echoes itself. As we embark on this journey, keep one phrase in mind: capture and kill the Divine One. It's a motif that returns again and again whenever Black excellence threatens entrenched power. So, let's step into the story, part myth, part reality, and entirely relevant. Let me tell you a story of resistance. Picture the ancient city of Wasit, banners flying, armies gathering. Queen Ahmose Nefertari, the Divine One, stands at the head sister to King Ahmose I, both facing an empire in turmoil. For over 2 centuries, the Hyksos rule was not just a foreign occupation, it was a cosmic imbalance. The principle of Ma'at order was in peril, but here's the twist. The invaders feared a prophecy. The Divine One would restore Kemet, tip the scales back toward equilibrium. And she did. Side by side with her brother, she led the expulsion, ushering in Egypt's 18th dynasty and a golden age. Technical terms like paradigm shift and dynastic succession sound sterile, but in her hands they were lived realities. Without her, there's no Thutmose, no Hatshepsut, no Akhenaten, no ripple that would echo into monotheism and arguably the formation of Western religious thought. Have you ever wondered why certain figures are erased from history while others are immortalized? The Divine One's story is rarely told, but her spirit, her archetype remains. And it's this spirit we see reborn in 21st century icons like Whitney Houston, whose very presence on the world stage becomes an act of cosmic rebalancing. Fast forward to the 2012 Grammys. The air is electric, anticipation thick. Whitney Houston, the most awarded female artist of all time, is at once an artist and a symbol. She's the Black Diva reborn for a new era, a superstar whose achievements think cultural icon and market commodity shatter both records and stereotypes. You might ask, what makes a diva dangerous? It's more than voice, it's power. Power to unite, to inspire, to disrupt qualities that threaten the status quo. In the music industry, which thrives on image management and market control, such raw, unfiltered influence can be both a blessing and a threat. Whitney's awards, over 400, including Grammys, AMAs, and Billboard accolades, are not just trophies, but proof points of a force that transcends boundaries. Her presence on stage is a challenge to deeply entrenched myths about race, gender, and power. And as we'll see, this very presence makes her a target echoing the ancient battle cry, capture and kill the Divine One. Have you ever truly watched Whitney Houston perform? There's a charge in the air, something almost supernatural, Scientists call it melanin magic, the unique, vibrant energy emanating from those with African heritage. In layman's terms, think of it as the body's own superconductor, translating light, sound, and rhythm into pure creative force. Whitney embodied that magic, transforming it into performances that left audiences breathless. And she wasn't just an entertainer, she was a disruptor. Her success dismantled narratives crafted to marginalize Black talent. The technical term here is symbolic annihilation, which refers to how groups are erased from cultural narratives. But Whitney flipped the script, occupying space both on stage and in our collective imagination. Now, you may ask, can music really challenge power? When it's Whitney, absolutely. Her visibility, her unapologetic presence became an act of resistance. Her existence, a bold declaration that the greatest love of all starts from within and radiates outward, shaking the very foundations of hierarchy. Let's dig into the stats because numbers don't lie. Whitney's debut album lands on Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Albums. Her chart records rival those of Michael Jackson, and she sets a new bar for crossover success. In technical lingo, she achieved market penetration and brand dominance on a scale rarely seen. But why do these milestones matter? They're more than bragging rights. Each award, each chart-topping single, is a testament to impact on industry, on culture, on the aspirations of millions. Remember, the industry is built on templates, on formulas. Whitney's trajectory blew up the playbook. Her ability to bridge R&B, pop, gospel, and even film soundtracks redefined what Black female artists could achieve. You might wonder, is it just about sales? Not even close. It's about visibility, legacy, and the power to inspire the next generation, proving that the divine spark can't be contained by genre or corporate expectation. Let's talk economics. In the entertainment industry, artists aren't just performers, they're human capital and brand equity. Whitney Houston was a high-value asset, her every move capable of causing corporate stocks to rise or fall. With over 200 million records sold worldwide, she ranked as one of the best-selling artists in history, a financial juggernaut whose influence extended to Wall Street and beyond. Think about this. Corporations and investors saw Whitney as both an icon and an investment. Insurance policies, sponsorship deals, even the value of award show ratings, her presence translated into tangible financial gains. But with great value comes great risk. When an artist becomes this powerful, their life and even their struggles become part of a high-stakes game. What does it mean when a person is worth more than any product they'll ever endorse? The stakes go beyond music, they become existential. And therein lies the peril when you're both a symbol and a commodity. The forces that profit from your light may also conspire in your downfall. Pause for a moment, listen to the lyrics. No matter what they take from me, they can't take away my dignity. The greatest love of all is happening to me. Whitney's anthem wasn't just a ballad, it was a manifesto. The psychological term here is self-actualization, and in spiritual circles, it's the practice of recognizing the divine within. For the global poor and oppressed, these words were a lifeline, a call to see themselves as worthy, powerful, unbreakable. Now, maybe you're asking, can a song really change lives? Let me tell you, for many it did. It became a shield against the psychological warfare waged by systems invested in marginalization. Houston's message transcended race, class, and geography. It threatened the very structures that rely on division and despair. Whitney's greatest gift wasn't just her voice, it was the courage to embody a love so great, so galvanizing, that it terrified those in power. As we'll soon see, that's precisely what made her dangerous. Let's shift gears. It's February 2012, and the city of Los Angeles is gearing up for the Grammys. Security is supposed to be airtight, VIPs protected, threats mitigated. Yet the narrative we're given is one of chaos. Whitney wandering alone, disoriented, in hotel lobbies, with reports of erratic behavior. Here's where terms like plausible deniability and security protocol come into play. You might be asking, how is it possible that the nation's most valuable celebrity commodity could be left so vulnerable? It defies logic. Normally, layers of protection would be in place: background checks, controlled access, surveillance. But instead, we see a pattern: selective reporting, shifting timelines, and one persistent shadow, Ray J, always present, always in the background. If there's one thing history teaches us, it's to question discrepancies. Was Whitney's vulnerability accidental, or was it orchestrated? Remember, in high-profile cases, the details that don't add up often point to a bigger story lurking beneath the surface. Let's talk about the power of narrative. In times of crisis, the media can shape public perception as much as any security detail can shape reality. Terms like agenda setting and information control come to mind. In the days leading up to Whitney's death, reports flood, in some focus on her alleged instability, others on the spectacle of her behavior. But wait, whose story is being told, and to what end? Imagine you're in the audience. You're fed a steady stream of images. Whitney stumbling, Whitney alone, Whitney unprotected. The effect? Sympathy, yes, but also a subtle erasure of her agency, her power. This is classic misdirection, a magician's trick, where the real action happens out of frame. Now, you might wonder, is it just the media, or is there a deeper strategy? When the truth becomes inconvenient, distraction becomes a weapon. And as we'll see, those who control the narrative often control the outcome. Let's pull back the curtain on the music industry. Enter Clive Davis, industry titan, gatekeeper, and power broker. Terms like oligarchy and media conglomerate aren't just buzzwords here. They describe a carefully engineered system where a select few shape the destinies of many. Davis's rise at CBS Records was no accident. His benefactors included men with deep ties to intelligence networks and secret societies. You might be thinking, isn't this a stretch? Consider this. The entertainment industry has always been entwined with systems of surveillance and control. When stars get too bright, too influential, the machinery of image management and sometimes suppression kicks in. The technical term here is gatekeeping, the power to grant or deny access, to elevate or silence. If Whitney's presence threatened the status quo, who stood to gain from her downfall? The answer isn't simple, but the architecture of control is real, and its roots run deep. Let's consider the paradox at play. Whitney Houston, the high-value asset, surrounded by layers of supposed protection, a security apparatus designed as much for control as for safety. But where's the line between protection and surveillance? Terms like private security and protective detail evoke images of safety, but they can also serve as tools of monitoring, even manipulation. Have you ever felt watched, even as you were being cared for? That's the tension here. For celebrities like Whitney, every step is tracked, every interaction noted. But when the system wants to isolate, to make vulnerable, it can do so with chilling efficiency. So let's ask, was Whitney Houston truly alone in her final days? Or was she surrounded by watchers, waiting for their moment? In the layers of security, sometimes the greatest threat comes from within. As we close this chapter, consider the cycle, ancient and modern. From Queen Amos Nefertari to Whitney Houston, the divine black diva rises to inspire, to unite, and too often to threaten vested interests. The technical terms, archetype, and symbolic annihilation remind us how narratives are constructed, deconstructed, and weaponized. Maybe you're wondering what's the takeaway? It's this. The forces that seek to suppress the divine in others never truly succeed. The music, the message, the myth, these outlast any attempt at erasure. Whitney Houston's life, like that of the divine one before her, continues to radiate, to challenge, to uplift. The story's not over. It returns every time a new voice dares to rise, every time a new diva claims her place on the stage. And for us, the challenge is to see the divine not just in the icon, but in ourselves. That's the real revolution. That's the greatest love of all.